Hello everyone, my name is Kakwezi, a teacher from Namugongo Secondary and Vocational School, and today I'm going to be taking the Senior 2s through a very interesting grammatical topic, and specifically we are going to look at what we call phrasal verbs. Okay, we are going to look at what we call phrasal verbs, as you can see written on your screen just before you. Alright, when we are looking at phrasal verbs, we are going to define phrasal verbs by their formation. So at times you will find that there is no particular definition of something, but the definition lies in how something is formed. Are we together? I hope we are. Now, when we are talking about a phrasal verb, we are talking about an idiomatic phrase that is formed by combining a verb with a preposition. At times you will find that this basic verb is also formed together with an adverb, but today we are going to basically look at verbs plus prepositions. All right. Now listen up. Like I said, that a phrasal verb is a verb that is formed when you combine a verb and its preposition. Therefore, when you look at a phrasal verb, it is different from when you look at a verb alone. So a phrasal verb must be a verb plus a preposition. Are we together? So as you can see on the screen there, this means that when we are talking about phrasal verbs, this forms a verb phrase known as a phrasal verb that is different from the meaning of the verb alone. I hope we are together. Alright. For example, the verb to give. To give. This is simply a verb. The verb to give is just a verb. And as you can see on the screen, to give is to freely hand over possession to someone else. Meaning that a phrasal verb like give up means something different. In contrast, as a phrasal verb, to give up means to admit defeat or to cease making an effort. For example, you will hear people saying, this work is hard, I give up. Or, I cannot move any further, I give up. So, the verb itself is different in meaning, and the phrasal verb itself is different. That is why they are called idiomatic expressions. I am sure we all know what idiomatic expressions are. Words, these are phrases with a hidden meaning. They may not always have a literal or what we call a surface meaning. Therefore, when we come to a phrasal verb such as to give up, it means to admit defeat or cease to make an effort, whereas you might also come up with another example of give in. To give in almost also means the same thing as to give up. So it means to finally agree to something after a little resistance. Let us say perhaps you have been having an argument with a friend of yours in class, and you happen to argue about something. You know, this means this, and your friend is saying this means this. However, at some point you have to give in. In other words, you have to surrender and finally agree with your friend. Alright, going forward, apart from verbs, phrasal verbs such as giving, there are other examples. And because phrasal verbs are idiomatic expressions, you have to know exactly what a particular phrasal verb means. Remember, we say that a phrasal verb is formed by putting a verb plus a preposition in order to come up with what we call a verb phrase, or to come up with what we call a phrasal verb. Therefore, when you put a verb and a preposition together, the basic verb gives up its meaning, and because it is a phrasal verb, it means something different. Let us look at the examples just before us here. We have a table that is showing us a phrasal verb, and then we have on the other side the meaning of the phrasal verb. Look at that list, that short list that I have made for you. When you look at something like hold on, and you know the funny thing about phrasal verbs is that we have actually been using them in our ordinary and general conversations, when we are talking to our friends, when we are talking to our colleagues, or when we are talking to someone even at home. These are things that we have been using in our daily lives. So you'll be surprised to find out that words like hold on are actually what we call phrasal verbs, or actually have an idiomatic twist to them. For example, now hold on. When you look at the one at that phrase, hold on, it means to wait, okay? Which is very different if we were to use only the one word hold. Hold is just a verb that means to get something into your hands, or hold on to something into your hands, okay, for lack of a better explanation. So when we add on to hold, then we mean something different, as you can see in the meaning section. So hold on means to wait. Then you can have another example, run into. Run into is also idiomatic, okay? Although we might say that the boy ran into a tree. That is very literal. Someone can actually run into a tree. However, when we are talking about it as a phrasal verb, it has an idiomatic meaning to it. Let us say, for example, you're talking about meeting someone you were not expecting to meet at a particular time. You will say, I ran into my teacher at the mall, meaning that you met your teacher and you did not expect it. You did not expect that you would meet your teacher. So you will say something, or you will use a phrase, the phrasal verb run in, run into. So to run into means to meet someone that you know, but you did not expect meeting them. Going on forward, looking at another example, to check in. Those of you, let me not use us, those of you that have been to hotels before, you know that they check in. Once you arrive at a hotel, just like our meaning is stating, to check in is to arrive and also register at the hotel, so that they know that you're actually going to live at the hotel for a few days or even hours. So check in is another example of phrasal verbs. I hope we are together about over that. So those are a number of examples of phrasal verbs. Going forward, you will look at other phrasal verbs. By the way, that is not the only list. Going forward, we shall look at other examples, it will be a list of other examples of phrasal verbs. So going forward, you also have phrasal verbs like cheer up. I'm sure some of you have been told many times, my friend, cheer up. Supposing maybe you have got a grade that you are not expecting. Your friend will tell you, no, cheer up, Mary. You will get a better Great. So to cheer up is to make someone less sad. Yes. For example, you can even bring it in this way. She cheered me up when I was down. Meaning that person made an effort to make you less sad. And now I want you, I'll say this again, although I have said it already. When we are talking about phrasal verbs, they are not complete unless they are stringed with other words. I have said a phrasal verb is a verb and a preposition. At some point you'll find a phrasal verb that has three words put together. Sometimes you will find a verb and two prepositions, or a verb and other words like adverbs or an adverb or another preposition. So please don't think that a phrasal verb is only made up of two words. Sorry, it can also be made up of three words. For example, our next example, looking at it, do away with. To do away with something. It means to remove or put an end to something. When you do away with something, let me give you an example of a sentence. Mark did away with his drug addiction. So that is one of the ways that you can use the phrasal verb to do away with. So doing away with is to remove or put an end to something. Meaning, for example, in this sentence, Mark did away with his drug addiction. Another thing that I want you to note is that phrasal verbs can also change form. What do I mean by changing form? In their, as far as tense is concerned, they can be in the present tense, they can be in the past, and any other tense. For example, the example that we have here is do away with. However, because the tense is the past tense, so we have changed it to did away with. That does not take away the fact that it still remains a phrasal verb. Alright, I'm hoping that you've got this very clearly. You can actually change the tense and it is okay. It still remains a phrasal verb. Alright, the last two examples, we are going to go forward from that. Let us look at the next other examples there. Since the other ones already have their meanings to them, I may not dwell so much on them. Now, why have I included other examples? It is because I may not even exhaust all the phrasal verbs that there are in the English language. I am just giving you a feel of what they would be. That is why I am giving you other examples just right before you. So we have other examples like call something off. I am sure that is one of the very common ones that you use when you're with your friends. For example, if you had a sentence like the teacher called off the test. Okay, the teacher called off the test, meaning that the teacher perhaps removed the test that was supposed to be given to the class, or the teacher postponed the test. So to call something off is to remove it or postpone it to another time. Going forward, we have other examples like get a hold of. To get a hold of is to get a hold of is not it does not have a surface meaning. To get a hold of is to actually finally get someone that you have been wanting to talk to, or that you have been wanting to communicate to for a very long time. Let me give you an example. Perhaps you have been calling someone and wanting to talk to them on the phone for a very long time, and perhaps their phone has been off, or you have been calling and they have not been picking. So finally, you when they pick, or when the phone actually goes through, you have got a hold of that person. So that is what it means. The rest are very simple. Keep out of the classroom. Keep out of this section. That is another example of phrasal verbs. One of those examples that we usually use ourselves, even in ordinary situations. You have an example like let down. To let down, obviously, that one is very simple. We have all used it a number of times. He let me down when he cancelled the date. Okay. She let them down when she failed her exams. So to let down is to disappoint, right? To let down is to disappoint. Supposing you have been expecting something and something else happens, or it doesn't happen at all, you have been let down. All right. There are other examples. To look into. Look into means, okay, I am going to reconsider. Okay. When someone says, I'm going to look into your issue, they are meaning that I'm going to study, weigh the options, and reconsider in case there is something that has to be done. Going forward, we have make up one's mind. Okay, making up one's mind is to decide. Okay, come up with a decision. So I have made up my mind to read my books, and maybe I will pass. I have made up my mind to let go of this habit. So all those make up one's mind, simply to make up a decision or come up with a decision about something. And lastly, we have another example there. To run out of. To run out of is to something gets finished. Okay, something is finished. Something gets finished. That is to run out of. I have run out of oil. I have run out of water. I have run out of flour. I need to get more. So to run out of is to you have run out of the thing that you had has got finished, and you need more. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall come back for another session. Of still. We are going to continue with the phrasal verbs, but please put in mind that phrasal verbs are verbs that are formed by combining a verb and a preposition, or even another preposition. Now, to access these lessons, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you will get everything that you need. That will be all for this day. Have a nice